Hello and welcome back to another episode of My Kitchen Intuition podcast and video series. This is MaritaLynn and it's an honor to have you here today. Thank you so much for being here, listening and watching the videos. Today I have an amazing guest. I met Jen through social media and through a mutual friend, Dave, right? And I just love what she does, and I approached her to come here as a guest because I am very fascinated with the high performance coach, which she is. And she actually wears many hats, and she helps so many people, a lot of entrepreneurs. I will let Jen introduce herself and her amazingness. Hello, Jen. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Marita, for having me on here and for letting me be a guest on your podcast. I love what you're doing in the world. And I'm Jen Grosso, and I'm a performance expert and a confidence expert, and I help high-level entrepreneurs and executives do even better. I also sometimes work with Broadway actresses and athletes as well. And what happens is they come to me when they have done really well and they're hitting a block or they've plateaued in some way, and they are looking for how can they optimize their performance to get to their next level. And so that incorporates a number of different things, including their mindset, what's going on with their body, and then looking at various specific strategies and habits that they might need to put into place that will get them to that next level. And I incorporate all of that together in a holistic fashion so that they can do so in a really exciting and wonderful way that lets them be true to themselves.
Wow, so you are pretty much the one that helps them grow with whatever they want to grow with in regards of their business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What are their highest and most important goals at this time? And then how do we chop away whatever isn't working, and how do we get them to that next level? It's really fun work.
Oh, I'm sure. That's great. That's amazing. So I was reading about you and your story, which I love. Can you tell me a little bit? I know you're a lawyer.
I am.
Yes, that's amazing.
I like to call myself a recovering lawyer because I don't practice law anymore. And the law served me really well, and I did that for quite some time. I was a litigator, and I did quite a bit in pharmaceutical. I represented pharmaceutical companies and defended them in various cases, and I did other kinds of work. And it gave me a really great background in terms of how do people work, how do they function, how do you figure out what people actually want and make an argument for that. So it was really fun and interesting work. But even on behind the scenes, I got to see what it was like for people who were in very high pressure situations and where the stakes were high, and what were the challenges that they faced as people who wanted to excel or needed to excel in those positions. And I was always curious and fascinated with that portion of it. And while I was an attorney, I was part of a team that created the first mentor program at the law firm that I was at. And what I didn't know at the time was that was really some of the seed that was being planted for me becoming a coach. It was really about developing people both personally and professionally. And it did a lot to take me to where I am today.
That is great. So I guess you started loving that part of when you were working more than being in the courtroom.
Absolutely. I was excellent at what I did as an attorney, but I was always, I can even remember back in high school, I was the person that people came to with their problems and wanted to talk through them. And I think when I went into college, which was a while ago, coaching really wasn't a profession. It really wasn't an option. The closest thing to it was therapy. And therapy is definitely different than coaching. Therapy is really looking at what kind of traumas people are going through, what's gone in their past, and also has some medical components. And that wasn't quite right for me either. So I find that stumbling upon coaching and finding that existed in the world and was an option for me was a real gift, because it highlighted or allowed me to highlight what I was supposed to do in the world and how I could serve people best.
That is great. So how about making the decision from working at a job and then becoming an entrepreneur? I'm sure that require a lot of growth, jumping from the side of right?
No question, it did. There was definitely a decision-making process that I was struggling with, because like so many people, I had vested so much of myself and my time and my money and my resources into a profession that wasn't quite fitting. And so the thought process was, do I try to force that into something that fits, or do I take the risk and try to find something that fits better? And ultimately, I will say that there was there's the adrenaline junkie, exciting part of me that really wanted to jump off that cliff very quickly. And then there was the logical, smart girl part of me that said, is this the wisest decision? And so it was a process for me. It was not something that I didn't dive off that cliff immediately. I definitely, packed my bag, made sure I had a parachute, and I prepared for it. So I prepared for it financially. I had some backup plans in place, and I until I felt really confident and ready to go, then I took that leap. It wasn't a long period of time, but it was enough period of time to save money, because I knew that becoming an entrepreneur, one of the biggest reasons that people fail is that they don't put enough money aside to handle their bills while they are building. And I didn't want to be part of that statistic, so I took care of that first.
That is great.
Yes.
That is great. Well, I'm one of the ones that jump. Just say, yes, I'll do it. Quit my job.
Yes. And for some people, that works.
I mean, it worked. It worked at the beginning. I always had that adrenaline, just like you. Everything changed when I started my restaurant, which was something completely different.
Right.
Everything that didn't know it was inside of me, all the insecurities I had, came out.
I don't know that there is another thing that can bring out insecurities quite like owning your own business.
Exactly. Yep.
And what I think a lot of that is because when you jump into entrepreneurship, what you're going to provide the world, whether it's a product or a service or some hybrid of that, what ends up happening is you're excellent at that, but you don't really know what you don't know until you're in it. Yes. And that's why it's so important to hire outside help. And whether that's the help of accountants and lawyers to get some of those foundational pieces right, or if it's the help of a mentor or coach or a consultant who can show you the blind spots and the path that you may not understand based on your previous experience.
Definitely. Yeah, I work with coaches since I started my business, and I listen sometimes, and sometimes I didn't. And now I know the effect of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and I think sometimes when you're offered a plan and a way forward by a coach or a consultant, sometimes you should be following along exactly. They do have a great path. They do know how to plow you forward. But sometimes I think it's okay to use your discernment and say, that's one way, but that way isn't going to work for me. So I want to shift and I want to pivot in another way. And you learned one way that didn't work for you, and then maybe you either work with that coach to find something that's more aligned with you, or you just decide to find someone else who can show you a path that fits who you are, what you want to be, what you want for your business, and what you want for your life. That's always very important for me with whoever I'm working with, is that we don't just look at one goal in a box and one performance goal, so to speak. So let's say we're talking about a Broadway actress and she wants to be in a show, and that's the most important thing. How does that also impact other areas of her life? Because if you're so singular focused, you might have massive success in that one area. But if you do that to the detriment of others, you may end up on the other side of that very unhappy. And so I like to look at it in a more, like I said, a more holistic fashion. Let's look at how it impacts your life as a whole, and is this really the way you want to go, and in this fashion.
I love it. Yeah, that happened actually to me back in 2011. I was so burned out, what I was doing. I was successful,
yes,
but I was very unhappy.
Yes, successful burnouts are very common.
Yeah,
very common. And I will throw my hand up there as well. I was very successful and very burned out, and so that's a very common reason that people are coming to me. And part of the reason they are blocked at reaching their next level is because they are so burned out and they're so exhausted from what they did to reach the level of success they're at, that they know there has to be a better way. And if they want to get to that next level, it can't be with the same hustle and grind the way they did it before.
Yes.
They need to do it differently.
I totally agree.
Yes.
Great. So I know that you still own it, or a gym, and I know you're a fitness guru, I would say. You have done triathlons. I did one years ago, and I love it because it gives you that sense of doing something great, and that when it's not, you compete with yourself because you don't compete with everybody else. I love triathlons, and I know you have done a few, right?
So I know I've only done one.
Oh,
I've only done one triathlon,
okay.
But I absolutely loved it, and I've been a health nut for all the way back in college. I became an aerobics instructor, so I was doing step aerobics and not quite at the headband from the 1970s zone, but definitely I was in that high impact aerobics place that existed a long time ago. And then I continued to run, and then I had 2 children, and I had the busy law practice, and during that time as well, I was part owner in a real estate brokerage as well, so I have that experience too. And that was a time where I was so spread thin in so many directions, and I let the exercise component get away from me. And not exercising really started to negatively impact other areas of my life, including relationships and including, because I didn't have the energy for them. And it also impacted how well I was doing in my business. So I moved on. I don't own the gym now, but I did get back into fitness. I tried triathlons. I really enjoyed them. But then I fell in love with CrossFit, and the kind of gym that I owned was a CrossFit gym.
Oh, nice.
And I owned that for a number of years, and that was really, really fun. It was fun to serve people in that way, and it solidified what I already believed. And I believe that a healthy life and a healthy bottom line in your business are really fueled by how well you take care of yourself. And if you are not engaging in radical self-care, really taking care of yourself nutritionally, taking care of your body, that has the potential to really harm you. It makes it more likely that you will face physical negative effects from stress, and it will also reduce your energy and your ability to produce and service the business and the world that you're trying to service if you're not taking care of yourself. So I've always, ever since I started coaching business owners and executives, it has always been a pivotal part of my program. Let's talk about how you're taking care of yourself. Are you hydrating? And this isn't just, it's not just something that is, a nice thing to do and we kind of know we should do it. There's real data and real statistics to show even something as simple as drinking your water. If you fail to drink enough water every day, which everybody knows to do, it actually impacts your business results. It reduces your productivity. Just one 16-ounce glass of water can reduce your productivity inside the office significantly. So failing to hydrate is actually it impairs your ability to perform well. Yeah. So, and it's so simple. So why not add it in?
It's the simplest thing.
Right.
Yeah. And it's like to this saying of how you do anything is how you do everything, because one thing impacts everything, right?
It does.
Yeah.
It does. Yes. And I think as well, if you are taking care of yourself and you're eating well and you're exercising, your body just feels so much better and you feel so much better. So the general energy that you bring, your essence is different, and how you show up for
definitely.
What you do in your business. So, and I've just found that if we don't take care of ourselves, or if my clients don't take care of themselves, it doesn't matter what strategy I give them. They won't do that. They won't execute and implement that strategy as well unless they feel good and they're doing well. So it's important.
It is very important to feel good with yourself, definitely.
Absolutely. No question.
Yeah, it's no question. Totally. I totally agree with that, which is great. So let me ask you, I'm curious, which triathlon do you do?
I did the Jersey Girl
I did that too.
triathlon, and so I will let you know that I have agreed with my friend that I will be doing it again this year. So we are signing up for September, and I have committed to do that one again. So I'm excited.
I love it. I did.
It's a very fun
I did
one.
it back in 2017, the Jersey Shore one.
Okay.
Yeah, too.
I believe I did it in either 2015 or 2000. I think it was 2000. No. Might have even been before that. Might have been 2014. So it's been a little bit. So part of the reason I didn't do it is because when I was training for it, someone ran a stop sign and I flipped over the bars and I broke my ribs.
No.
I did it was a sprint triathlon and I did that with broken ribs. And I did fine with the swim and the bike, but the run not so much.
I'm sure.
So I had a bit of a mental block about doing it again after the training.
I'm sure. Yeah.
So I'm ready to step out of my own blocks. I need to walk my own talk.
Well, it happens, right? We normally coaches, we learn alone what we teach, so
Absolutely.
It's normal.
Question. No question.
So let me ask you, I know you have an institute, the Boldfire Institute.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes. So the Boldfire Institute is really where I provide my coaching and training programs, and I have a number of programs, whether they're for individuals or even for corporations. So it provides programs that are for personal and professional development. And one of them that, for example, is I provide something called the Confidence Incubator. And I can bring that to individuals, or we can also bring that into a corporation where we work with various teams and help them improve how they are performing across the board. It works on developing a confident mindset. It works on developing even their own body confidence, whether that's for presenting or, as you know, so many more of us need to be presenting ourselves on video and engaging people, and we work on confidence on all sorts of various levels, including improving their trust in themselves to make decisions and how to structure those decisions so they can feel good and adapt and pivot to whatever circumstances or challenges may arise.
Oh, I love it.
Yes.
Very good. Mm-hmm. That is great. So do you work with people one-on-one, or do you have group coaching? What kind of coaching do you do?
So I do both. I work with people intensively one-to-one, and they can work with me. Sometimes they'll work with me to start for a 3-month container, and then they sign on to work with me for a year. And I even have clients who've been working with me for close to a decade, on and off, depending. And as they get to a new level, they may take a break, they may go do what they're doing, and then come back in and work with me again. And so I have one-to-one, and I also have groups, and then I have more. They're more like training and workshop type programs. I do those as well for corporations. And those can be related to various performance issues, like how to be as productive as possible, how to think differently, and also how to be resilient in your work. And so that looks a little bit at mindset, but also avoiding burnout. Mm-hmm. So I look at some of the precursors to burnout that people don't talk about. It's not just about taking care of yourself and your body and your mindset. It is actually making sure that you have structures in place. Sometimes people are burning themselves out because they haven't taken the time to sit back and structure their time, structure their business, lay out what are the procedures for various things so that they can then delegate appropriately to people, so that they're not trying to wear all the hats and do all of the things when a bigger team would help them develop, and it would help them perform much better, while at the same time reducing their own stress levels and addressing one of the root causes to burnout.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Sure, of course.
Yes.
So this morning I was listening to an interview you gave to some another podcast, and you were talking about imposter syndrome.
Yes. Yes.
For people that don't know what it is, can you explain a little bit what it is and how you help people overcome that?
Yeah, so when I talk about mindset and when I talk about being a confidence expert, the imposter syndrome is a big component of that, and it's really widespread. So when I explain what it is, I think many people will resonate with it. The imposter syndrome is when someone who is successful by, on paper, other people would definitely describe them as successful. They don't feel fully like they are a success. They feel like they are a fraud, that at some point, that somehow they got lucky and they got to this place and they don't really deserve to be there, and they're almost afraid of being found out. And it's generally presents itself almost like a form of anxiety, and people find themselves in survival mode where they're almost freezing, or they might be fleeing in some way and not showing up. Sometimes procrastination shows up when they feel this way. Sometimes imposter syndrome has people go out and try to get more certifications and more. They'll try to stack certifications and stack degrees to try to prove themselves worthy of something when they already have enough experience to do what they're doing. So imposter syndrome is the belief that you're not good enough to be where you are and to do the work that you're doing, and that people are going to find you out. And this is not something that just happens to newbies. It's something that happens to some of the most successful people who are at the top of their game. And I love that some of them have been honest and vulnerable enough to share that they are at the highest levels of their various professions, and yet they still experience this. And I'll give you 2 examples just so it can highlight how important. One of them would be Tom Hanks, and he is an award-winning actor who's had a beautiful career that has lasted decades. And he's just, whether you like him as an actor or not, there's no question he's great at his craft and he's a success. And he talks all the time about how he is plagued by imposter syndrome, where he feels like he's not good enough and that someday someone's going to come back and collect his Oscars because he didn't really deserve them. Another great example would be the author, the New York Times best-selling author. She's written so many books. And Maya Angelou, you may have seen her on Oprah.
Sure.
Beautiful words, just incredible thought leader. And she has said the same thing, that she feels like a fraud every day. And that anytime someone's going to strip her of her New York Times bestselling status and they're going to out her as not really being a very good writer at all, which is fascinating. Anyone else would look at her and say, that's amazing, you're fantastic. Serena Williams, the tennis player, it spans all professions. It spans both genders, races. It really happens to everyone. So if you feel that way, you're not alone. And when I work with my clients, whether it's in the confidence incubator or they're working with me on their own performance and confidence issues are coming up, we directly hit that head on, and I have a little bit of a different take on it.
Yeah,
So.
I love it. I'm definitely been there. I mean, when I went from being a caterer to open my restaurant. It took me 3 years almost to open the restaurant.
Right.
And after that, I won all these awards and everything. I have my niece working with me, and every time I won, she will be like, "You're acting like it's not a big deal what you do."
Right.
You know?
Yes, I love that you brought
yeah,
that up.
she used to say that to me. You're doing all these great things and you're winning, but for you it's like it's not enough or it's not a big deal. You know, I remember feeling that way, like, and you're right. You feel like you're not deserving of all that stuff. Yeah.
Right. And what I love about that is you brought up the point where if you feel imposter syndrome, oftentimes you take humility too far, and you won't get in a place of celebrating the achievement and celebrating all you've done. And so I love that she called you out on that.
Yes,
that
she did.
You should feel proud.
Yeah.
And I think that many people in society are told that you shouldn't celebrate, that that's arrogant, that you should minimize your accomplishments. And I think that does a real disservice to people. I think, yes, there is arrogance out there. We've seen it. We've experienced it. It's a know it when you feel it. But we need to start normalizing celebrating our accomplishments and celebrating where our strengths are and celebrating those wins. That also contributes to that amazing good energy that can bring about even more success and allow you to serve people in a better way. So
yeah, I love it.
It's important.
It is. I mean, and it took me forever to do the videos. Finally, I got them, you know, and I'm proud of what I'm doing, and, you know, I want to do more, you know.
Yes.
But it took me a while also, so I totally understand about the imposter syndrome.
It does take people a while, but it doesn't have to take people as long as it does. And
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
part of what my mission is to get people to think differently about that next level and what it means to generate real, authentic confidence. I find that people, when they're facing imposter syndrome, they often are given the advice to fake it till they make it.
Yeah.
And I don't believe in that advice. I believe
Exactly, I don't either.
fake it till you make it ends up having the people perform in a way where you can tell they're faking it. And there are better ways to go in and dive in and access real confidence. And it might not be their fullest level of confidence, but you can access enough to do the things that will help build upon themselves. And I see it as a spiral. I see you start out with a base level of confidence and it grows as you go up the spiral. And something may knock you down a little bit. You may go back down, but you can catch it and then continue back up the spiral. And you can grow your confidence over time, and imposter syndrome won't be something that holds you back, but just a signpost for you that you're about to do something more extraordinary and you're about to push beyond your previous limits. And once you do that and you take those actions, you're going to do quite a bit better.
Yeah, exactly. Totally. Oh, that's great. This is great conversation. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm happy to have it.
Yeah. So where people can find you?
They can go right to my website. It's boldfireinstitute.com. They can find me there. I have a newsletter. I'd love for them to sign up. It's it's the Bold Moves newsletter, and in there we talk about mind, body, and business breakthroughs. If you happen to be someone who is on Facebook, I have a Facebook group, and it's a small, intimate group. And if you qualify, you'll answer a few questions to see if you qualify. And if you qualify, it's called the Lab for Mind, Body, and Business Breakthroughs. And inside, we share things that are the biohacks, various mindset techniques and tools that you can use, as well as various strategies that may help you to build your confidence, help you with your business, help you be and perform as a better leader if you're leading teams.
Great. And do you also add the part of do you add nutrition and fitness to your coaching, or that's something that you?
So we don't add that. We are aware of, and we want to make sure that you have a plan for your fitness and nutrition. But we are not writing workouts for you.
Okay.
I used to do that, but we don't currently offer workouts. We can talk to you about the kinds of workouts that you might want to be seeking and supplementing with your program.
Sure.
There's certainly enough to tell you, but we're not writing a weightlifting plan for you, and we're not figuring out your macros, so to speak, for what you're eating. However, we do offer tips and assistance on what kind of eating might be beneficial to you, as well as flagging things that might be not working out so well for you and what kind of help you might need with that. So for me personally, as a philosophy, I don't believe that there is one diet that fits all. I really believe that success has to be customized to each person, and that you get to decide what success is for you on your terms that makes the most sense. And that includes your eating, and that and includes what you have going on. Each of us are so unique. Our whole being is unique and different, and so what works for me may not work for you.
Exactly.
And when I owned the gym, I saw that we could have. It's comfortable as a business coach to tell people you want to have a map for what every client is supposed to do.
Exactly.
And that's convenient, and it's easy to sell, and it definitely works to a degree, but it'll never work the same for each person.
No.
Because their biomakeup is different, their environment that they're in, that impacts how it's going to work. And so what I love about my coaching is that we work with people so one-on-one, and even when you're in our group programs, it's a high-touch, hybrid group program. You're getting some individual attention, even though you're in the groups and getting the benefit of the community. You're also getting some one-to-one, and we talk about what's going to work for you as an individual, whether that's your nutrition, or it's a business strategy type issue or a mindset issue. We'll work on what do you need specifically that will get you to your next level.
I love it. It's very specific, you know.
It is.
You know, it's a specific, but it's also specific to you, to your own self. It's the same way when I do coaching, nutritional coaching. I cannot give like a cookie cutter meal plan or a diet or a recipe, because it's not going to work, you know, if their mindset is not in place.
That's
and
right.
what kind of activities they do.
That's right.
Yeah.
It impacts the other.
Exactly.
Just like we were talking about. So I think that's why we resonated so much, is I love someone who takes a more holistic approach and brings the human factor back to what we're doing.
Exactly.
So I like to bring the human factor back to business, back to performance, and remember that we are so much more than one particular goal or one particular aim that we have. There's so much more that when you add it in and you pay attention to those other factors, you're much more likely to be successful in a sustainable way over time.
Exactly.
And be happy.
It's more sustainable. Yeah, and it
also,
lasts longer.
let's be happy.
Exactly.
Yes.
And it lasts longer, you know. It's something more authentic.
Yes.
Like, you know, there's always going to be challenges, but you will know how to handle them.
That's
you know,
right.
when they come.
That's right.
You
yes.
know.
I have a method that I work with, and it's called the chaos to confidence method. And it's the idea that no matter what happens, whether you have some sort of chaotic or crisis type event, or even if you're feeling imposter syndrome because you've just been offered some really great thing but you don't think you can do it, doesn't matter what's happening. Once you can know and trust yourself that you're going to do it your way on your terms, and you can confidently find that success that you're looking for, and trust yourself to get there.
Exactly. Oh, great. What a great conversation.
Oh, I loved it myself. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Yes.
We're going to have your information at the end of the video
That would
also.
be great.
So it'll be great, you know, if you send it to me.
Absolutely.
I got it here written, but just in
Absolutely.
case I want to confirm.
Yes.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are going to benefit from this conversation. People that perhaps you say you work with already people that are already in business, but do you have any kind of advice for people that might not be happy where they are at their job and might be thinking about starting a business, you know, and they are very afraid of really making that shift? What will you advise them?
One of the things that I talk about inside my confidence incubator, and something that I specifically teach, is around decision making, and it's those pivotal transitional times in our life where the decision making is really important and the stakes are really high. And what I find is, even if people structure how they are going to make their decisions, and even if they're seeking outside advice and counsel on what they should be doing, I think that they miss one key critical component when they're making those decisions. And it's about getting in touch with who they are, and really sitting with themselves and assessing the energy of the decision. So even if let's say you had a simple pro and con list about should I stay or should I go, so to speak. You could have a list on the should I stay that's long and it looks good on paper. And you could have a should I go that maybe looks not as good on paper as it's written out. But as you have to read it off and explain it to someone, how does that feel to you to stay? So if you're looking at, does staying, for example, make some sense, or it makes sense to other people, but it makes you feel terrible, it's probably not a good decision. Our body, there's a book called The Body Keeps Score. It's a little bit more about illness. There's a lot of information that our body gives us about what's right for us.
Our body speaks to us.
And I know that you're someone who is a champion of meditation. Even meditating and getting in touch with how you feel about a particular decision is really relevant. So I divide I learned that you can divide the energy into two kinds of energy. And if you can look at it as catabolic energy, energy that eats away at you, that takes away, that is soul-sucking in a way, then it's probably not the right decision for you. Whereas if you have another decision that might feel scary. So it might still feel scary, but it feels exciting, it feels expansive, it feels lighter to you in some way. Even if it's scary, that might be a better decision. So I would be getting more in touch with who you really are and how you really feel about a decision, and include that as an important part of the decision-making process. And if it's legitimately, should I be an entrepreneur, I would say, and you're really uncertain about it, I would say it's a really good idea to honor the need for often it's the need for some financial security. Is there any way for you to test out? Is there any way for you to dip your toe into what you want to do first and get a little bit of more information, a little bit of a better sense, and a little bit of a head start on building that business? It is known that many businesses that start as a side hustle and then grow from there, while they keep their day job, they are more likely to be successful over time. I love the example of Sarah Blakely with Spanx, the Spanx empire, and that she sold fax machines for years while she was building the Spanx empire. And the reason for that is, if the only thing holding you back is stability and some fear around your finances, well, then just take that out of the equation and keep a day job, and know it might take you a little longer to build it. But if that's your issue, then don't allow it to be so much of an issue that you don't do it at all.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great advice.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Jen, for being here.
Happy to be here. Thank
Please,
you so much.
If anybody that would love to get in touch with Jen, her information is going to be at the end. And maybe right here also is going to be here.
Yes.
And just contact her and work with her. She's amazing. I feel like I want to work with her.
Excellent. You're invited. You're invited. It's an open invitation.
Yeah.
The Confidence Incubator is open now, and it's open for the summer, and we'd love to have you. And so we'd love to have anyone. It's 12 weeks, like I said, and it's a great group coaching environment where you can really up-level your confidence in very, very practical ways that will advance your business. And I will tell you that people who have gone through the program before, one woman within her first session, she went out and made a $200,000 sale away. So it has real tangible results.
I'm definitely in.
She was, of course, selling something worth $200,000, but people have real tangible results, and I'm very proud of the program. It changes lives.
Oh, that is great. I'm in.
Thank you.
I'm in.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. I would appreciate for you to subscribe. Share this video with people that need to hear this amazing information from Jen, and just like it and comment. If you have any questions, just give us a comment, and either Jen or I will be happy to answer. Maybe if it's for you, I will ask you, and then I'll answer that question. But thank you for being here again. This is another episode of My Kitchen Intuition podcast and YouTube video series. Thank you, Jen, so much.
Thank you.
And thank you all for being here. It's been an honor. Thank you.
Appreciate you.